All right. There's already so much that has been covered. I'm not going to belabor the point. We had a ton of PRs. I was literally shocked when I did kind of the math morning of. We had more than 200 PRs merged over the last month, and that's like even more than February. We had 176, and we thought we had hit a high. So this looks amazing. Looking forward to more and more contributions. Our contributor growth continues to be great. We added 13 more contributors over the last month, and we had a healthy 41 total contributors contributing over a month. Think about that for a minute, right? More than one person is contributing to DataHub every single day of the month. That's pretty cool. Lots of contributor shout outs. Thank you, everyone. It's been great. And there's so many PRs waiting in the wings that are also pretty exciting. Maggie talked about the regret list. There's a couple of Cassandra PRs that I'm really excited about. One that adds Cassandra as a backend for DataHub, and the other that adds Cassandra as a data source for metadata for DataHub. Super excited about both of those, but there's many more. Metadata integrations, we've had quite a few as usual. Power BI is the new source that everyone should be excited about and try out. Tableau we announced last month, and then this month we had lots of improvements to the Tableau connector, and so it's great to see the community kind of jumping in and improving that particular integration. David's going to talk about per above schemas in Git, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. We had improvements to the Spark emitter. Platform instances are now supported. And there's a lot of friendly names that you'll see in the UI. And so we've gone and fixed up a lot of the sources to start emitting better names for a lot of these data assets. On the developer experience, we now have the timeline API. We have the CLI supporting time series aspects. We also had David contribute an upgrade for us on Gradle 6, and we are prepping for Java 11. So we are not on Java 11 yet, but some parts of the code base are starting to build with Java 11. Product improvements, quite a few. In fact, the best way to show them is to actually show you screenshots. So let's get into it. We talked about, so before we get there, metadata model additions, everyone's very excited about those. Just a reminder, we added fine-grained lineage. We're still getting a lot of questions about it. So it's there. You're able to now add fine-grained lineage, also known as column-level lineage, to data sets and to data jobs. The UI isn't there yet, but the metadata model is and the API is. So start producing metadata, and then very soon the UI will land. We've also added support for assertions. So that's the next one. And you'll see all these entities showing up on the left rail. If you go to docs, DataHub Project.io docs, you'll see all the entities showing up there. And notebooks, which Shu Wang contributed, and it's in beta or incubating stage right now. So we're looking for feedback and gonna firm it up as we go. And the next thing is the timeline API. We demoed it last time, but it's live, and so you can use it. The CLI looks like this. It gives you helpful indicators of what was added, removed. And then you also have a Swagger UI that goes along with it. Next. That allows you to kind of play around with the API. So have fun with it and let us know what you discover about your entities. Next is impact analysis. We did a demo of this last month. It's now available. Very cool. A lot of people are doing amazing things with it. Check it out. Allows you to see left to right dependencies. Dataset assertions are now in, so you can go in and look at assertions. You can even produce assertions from your specific data quality tool. And then my favorite feature, project updates on like friendly names. So remember how dataset names used to be so long and have lots of stuff in them. Now it's much better. We're actually calling tables tables now instead of datasets. So people who like thinking of their tables as tables would love it. Also, Kafka topics are called topics. And so we're kind of firming up all our support for subtypes and friendly names. And so all of the sources have been mostly updated. And if you see a source that hasn't been updated, let us know and we'll take care of it. Next up, ownership types. So John did this, I think, over a hackathon or something. We now have real owner types. We did a lot of community surveys to figure out what we should call these things, call these types, and what they should be. But now they're there, and you can assign technical owners, business owners, data stewards, and let us know if we missed something. And it's a dialogue. We are not saying that this is all you get, but let's talk about whether we need more or not. And you can see them in the UI as well. Soft deleted entities are no longer visible in lineage browsing. And if you actually go to the entity page for it, there's a nice helpful banner that tells you that this entity has been soft deleted. Next, autocomplete, some improvements there as well. You can see recent searches as you start typing. And you also get helpful logos when you have the autocomplete dropdown. And when you click on a particular entity, it actually takes you to that specific entity page. So lots of small stuff, but it all adds up to what we think is a delightful experience looking for and finding things. And yeah, tags have colors now. So how exciting. You can actually make the authoritative tag green and not red or whatever default DataHub decided to assign it. Also, our users and groups pages have been updated, look much more friendly. You can attach Slack handles and things like that. Awesome. I think that's pretty much it. It's a lot. So go have fun. The latest release should have all of these goodies in there for you.
Yeah, that's a lot. Shirshanka, that's the fastest you've ever gone through so much content. Well done, sir. That coffee's got you going. Yes. All right, Dexter, I think we're over to you, correct?
Yes, so I'll take over for the demo, but just doing a quick overview. So we did an initial round of improvements to the DataHub policies that John created about 2 quarters ago. I think everybody have been using it wildly, but I think we've got a lot of feedback on how to improve the policy experience. So we made some of those improvements on this round. So some things to call out. First of all, you can select multiple resource types instead of having to create one policy per resource type, which is a big pain. Second, you can apply policies to all entities in a domain. So like, for example, here you can see I did it for engineering and product. And finally, we added the ability to restrict the ability to view the entity page and some sensitive information like the usage statistics or the dataset profiles. So let me get into let me take over and get into the demo. All right, so can everyone see my screen? So you can see that we added, we kind of cleaned up the root policies that we have to a few. Remember, we had one per resource types. We now have a few. But for the sake of this, so this is the default page you will get. But for the sake of this demo, I'm going to deactivate some of these so that I am logged in as John Doe. That is the default user that we create. So that makes it easy for my demo. So I am John Doe now. I'm trying to access some of the data sets. So note that I deactivated the view entity page default policies. So when I go into try to see, let's say one of these data sets, I get onto an unauthorized page. So it doesn't even go to a send the GraphQL. So let's start trying to give myself access to these data sets. So I can create a new policy, same as before. Let's say to John Doe, I'm going to give view entity page access. And now if you see here, you can see the changed page. So each of these fields, if not selected, will select all. So basically, if this is not selected, the privilege will apply to all resource types. Now here, I want to specifically give access to datasets, containers, and domains. And then I'm going to give the view entity page access. And I'm just going to give it for myself, who is John Doe, and then save it. So now once I save it, I should be able to get in the sample Hive dataset and be able to see the Hive dataset. So now we have authorization to see this datasets, but I only gave it for dataset chart, datasets, containers, and domains. So if I tried to get in a chart, for example, I'm still unauthorized. Now let's try to use the domain-based access. So I created a few domains and added some of the datasets to the domains. So let's try to see. I'm going to give myself access to just engineering instead of giving access to all datasets. So once I do that, I should be able to access the things in engineering. So I go to engineering, I can access the data set here. But if I go to something in the product, for example, I shouldn't have access to this. The same for any data sets. So whatever policies you apply will be applied to all the entities within the data set, within the domain. So now let's try to get in this data set called user accounts. So this is a demo data set that we created. So of course it's unauthorized because it's not in the engineering domain. So I'm gonna edit this and remove that domain. And so this one is a dummy data set that we created for statistics and profiles. So we actually ingested statistics and profiles. So this queries tab and the stats tab, as long as some of the stats information on this page should be shown, but it is not shown because we didn't give the authority to see those things. So let's go and give myself access. I'm going to create a new policy and say, I'm going to give John Doe sensitive information. And then I'm going to add myself to resource. I'm going to find the user account here and add myself to the user account resource. Privileges are called view dataset. It's not working.
Select a resource type, Dexter.
That shouldn't be the case, but okay. User account, and then view dataset usage, and dataset profile. So we divided into two small things, so usage stats and profile. So let's see what that does. So once I go back in here, sorry, demo hiccups always happen. Oh, I didn't add myself to it. Okay, John Doe here. And now I should be able to see the queries instead. So the top queries, the top statistics, the sample values, these are most of the sensitive information that everybody called out to be hidden. So these are now hidden behind those things. So the view dataset usage will hide these top queries, top users, and the number of monthly queries, which are all usage statistics information. And then the dataset profile involves around the column statistics and the sample values. So all of these historical information on sample values will also be hidden if you don't grant those privileges. Check out, try these out on your services. It should be out in the next release. That's it for my demo.
Thank you, Dexter. And yeah, Shirshanka just called it out. This goes on our list of almost failed demos, but we saved the day. We got it.
We saved it. We always saved it at the end.
Always come through. All right. And then I think we have Mr. Ryan. So let me share my screen again. Ryan, how are things going with OpenAPI?
Yeah, so just a quick project update here. So I've created basically a way to auto-generate a OpenAPI spec and REST endpoints that actually include an object hierarchy. So like you see below in the added image, it actually includes all of the aspects under aspect type rather than you having just generic aspect and having to know DataHub's internals and know what aspects are all listed in there. So instead, you'll have that actually available as a model on the endpoint and be able to, query and add specifically that and have detailed messages on validating all of the fields that exist in each of those types and that kind of functionality. And of course, that comes along with the OpenAPI spec and UI that gets generated along with it. So currently, this is going to support pure full entities endpoints. So similar to like the metadata change proposals and deleting by entities, those endpoints are what's currently supported. We want to get specific endpoints for like data sets, ML models, and whatever other entities you've added in, and pull those from the entity registry later on down the road. And we also want to move over the Python libraries to calling these endpoints rather than using the old RESTly endpoints. And we will not currently support time series in the first run through. I think that's kind of most of the status. Yeah.
Ryan, of course, makes
Awesome.
it sound very simple and boring, but it's actually a ton of work. I ended up spending a fair bit of time understanding how he's done this. It's actually quite a bit of work to translate from one schema language to another, if you've ever done something like that. So we're essentially translating from Pegasus or PDL into kind of the JSON schema world. And there's a lot of nuance around unions and nested types and things like that. So a lot of interesting war stories there. Please hang out with Ryan and understand how this works. It's very cool. What I'm very excited about is that this Swagger API is going to allow people to auto-generate type-safe bindings in lots of different languages. And so it actually opens up a much more easy way to interact with the DataHub metadata store. So, and it's, I think, coming, well, like the PR is pretty much ready. So it's probably coming either tomorrow or early Monday. So stay on the lookout for that.